Hey family, this is a special edition of Free Game where we talk about hot topics, and this week's hot topic obviously is Nick Cannon and Cam Newton. Let's get right into it. For those of you who are trickling in, please do not judge me. I'm going to be eating watermelon as the room fills up because y'all, today drained me, okay? Today drained me. I did not even leave to go work out until like 4 something. And it was probably the slowest workout of this entire fitness challenge. I was exhausted, but I was determined to do day 8 before I got on the plane tonight. And if you're wondering why I'm in sunny California wearing a high neckline, it's because I'm headed to the airport, and y'all know how cold it gets on red-eye flights. So I'm dressed for the East Coast and the airport, not for where I currently am. You guys said I've been waiting for this. Lemon or no lemon? No lemon, because I don't have time for all that. If I have a lemon on it, I'm going to turn it into a whole experience. And next thing you know, I'm going to lay back on the couch and miss my flight. So I'm eating this as quickly and responsibly as possible. I'm going to say hi to Tony, Christopher. By the way, I've never eaten on live before. That's how you know I really had no choice. Okay, the room is filling up. I'm going to be honest with you guys. You know I like to write notes, right? East Coast is warm, friend. Tony, not on those flights. When you are going from LA to the East Coast on an overnight flight, it feels like you're in Antarctica. It's freezing by comparison. So it's warm for y'all. The bar for warm on the East Coast, I know, is a little bit lower. But yeah, I need to not be sneezing on that flight because I got too much to do this week. All right, guys, I think I've given you guys enough time. We're going to jump right in. Oh, I forgot to write the URL because I was too busy eating my watermelon. Somebody says, I haven't heard about the beef. There's no beef, guys. So if you haven't heard, Cam Newton and Nick Cannon are 2 men who are being talked about heavily for being on some F-boy-ish. And I'm going to break down in an intellectual manner with some anecdotal wisdom why Cam Newton and Nick Cannon serve as a cautionary tale for all the men who think that money buys happiness. Register. You guys know I'm going to put the link in now. Register to work with Blue. I will say this, guys, for those of you who are new here, my name is Bluecentric. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, a podcaster, an executive producer, and a writer. A writer is my first job, so it's funny I say it last these days. And the thing that I do is I use pop culture and politics to help unpack how emotional intelligence and mental health is really, really important for our community in ways that we might not think it's relevant. All right. So for those who want to sign up for our emotional intelligence workshop that is kicking off next month in less than 2 weeks. That's crazy. In 2 weeks, we're kicking off our online self-mastery workshop. You do it from your home, so you don't have to worry about where you live. We take international clients. And every Wednesday for 8 weeks, I do shadow work. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, but because I have a big personality and I'm an East Coast bitch, I specialize in ego death and people who are high-powered. So a lot of my clients, particularly my international clients, are CEOs, people who have worked with hedge funds, folks who are calling me to talk about a lot of really high-stakes things that are going on with them mentally and emotionally. Dr. Ina's in here. I have a lot of people who are in the mental health field who take the course. Dr. Ina just said top-notch course. Thank you, Dr. Ina. The reason why I love the support that I get from mental health providers and fellow coaches is that this is a community thing, right? Like, you guys don't understand. When you have a therapist, a coach, or anybody that you're working with to help you, if you are surrounded by other people in that field who are also pouring goodness into you, you're making their jobs easier. I cannot tell you how many folks have come to me and said, my therapist wants me to thank you because it's been easier for her or him to work with me since I took your class. So I need you to understand, guys, that I love that when it comes to EQ, it's one of those shining moments when the online community of mental health providers are actually about their business and not just about branding. Because if you guys watch me and Bridget's Patreon exclusive podcast, Everything is Fine, we did a 2-part episode, I think 2 weeks ago. Part 1 was Inhumanized and part 2 was Behind the Paywall, where we talked about wellness when it's performative wellness and how the wellness community has been co-opted by folks who just want to get a coin, who just want to go viral, but who don't care about actual healing. So anytime I meet somebody in this realm who actually gives a fuck about healing, I get very excited. It makes me giddy. Ina just wrote, and I'm a better doctor after taking your class. Oh, Dr. Ina, don't make me cry. Okay, so I have an hour for this, okay? I've designated that I have to get off of here within the hour. So y'all know what I always do. I wrote notes. If I wrote notes, you need to write notes too, okay? If the practitioner wrote notes, if the facilitator wrote notes, what did that tell you about what you need to do? Right? So if you're not clear about what's about to happen, free game is what we do every week leading up to the On Thy Shift course, where every week I give you guys free game, free of cost. If you ain't got a coin, this is your ability to get a community offering. If you do have a coin, please consider joining the class after watching this. And also, if you want to do a one-on-one consult with me because you don't like groups, do not DM me. I'm too busy. Everything I do is automated. Go to the link in my bio. You can book a one-on-one session with me through the link in my bio. I am warning you though. 2 hours with me one-on-one is the equivalent of 2 months with me in the class. I'm just saying. All right, let's get into it. Now, OTS. Oh, one of the notes I had here about OTS in my notes, because again, a bitch wrote notes, is let's talk about bravery and compartmentalizing bravery. Those who were not watching social media the last 96 hours may have missed it, but Cam Newton and later Nick Cannon started, that's his name, right? Yeah, Nick Cannon. They started trending because Cam Newton had a mental health specialist on his show who had previously did a show with Nick Cannon about how toxic masculinity was whooping their asses and making them baby daddies who were being really socially irresponsible. And these men's pushback, the pushback of most men I know who are slaves to toxic masculinity is, but I can afford it, right? And the idea of I can afford it, what it means when you unpack it is, I make enough money to afford to have all these children, as if money is the only thing it takes to be a good and present parent. Raise your hand and say big cap. Turn to your neighbor and say, I know you fucking lying, because that's not how that works, right? We all know that's not how that works. Now, one of the biggest things I noticed when I watched both interviews, because I wanted to see if the anecdotal wisdom I have from the men that I've dated and discarded, because if you are a man who wastes my time, you will be let go, right? The streets can have you. She, whoever she is that you think I'm competing with, she can have you. That whole, if you can't take me at my worst, pause. I don't want you at your worst. She can have you. Because when somebody says, if you can't take me at my worst, or ladies and gentlemen, because this is gender neutral actually, when someone says, I think you're too good for me, do you know what that translates to? It translates to, I don't want to be responsible for putting in the work to rise to meet you where you are. No man who cares about you, actually, let me take off my bamboo earring. My earring just came off. Maybe that means I'm about to fight somebody. No man, no masculine identified human being who wants you and fucks with you heavy would ever say, I think you're too good for me. Men who think that you are something that is far and beyond what they ever thought was possible feel like it's a challenge. And their first thought is game the fuck on. Do you know how I know their first thought is game on? Because when I went to my good friend Bridget Kelly's wedding and I was surrounded by a bunch of attractive, that matters, attractive, funny, sexy ass, happily married men, me and Estelle ran around and started doing a survey. She'll tell you. I started asking questions. I turned it into a low-key fucking social experiment. I started asking all the fine-ass men at Bridget's wedding, now how you get here, bruh? You clearly have options. And do you know what they all said to me? When I met my person, when I met the woman who ended up being my wife, she was so amazing, I knew I would have to grow the fuck up to keep her. Every man that I asked at that wedding gave me the same answer. Every man that I'm friends with in real life, who I love and respect and would love to be friends with my husband when I find him, always give me that answer. It doesn't matter if she was too good for me. If I want to keep her, I'm going to do what I need to do to keep her. So this idea that you can be a high value man, y'all love to use that Kevin Samuels lingo, despite his very ironic passing that speaks about karmic justice in a way that y'all don't want to talk about. If you really listen to those men, they were claiming that they were able to compartmentalize themselves and be glaringly amazing and exalted when it came to the career. They were great when it came to business. They were great when it came to following their dreams and making money. But somehow they were only cowards when it came to love and intimacy. There is no such thing. Telling me you're brave everywhere else and you're only a coward when it comes to love is like telling me you're a little bit pregnant. Is there any such thing as being a little bit pregnant? You're either pregnant or you're not. Okay? There's no such thing as being a little bit brave. You're either brave or you're not when it comes to the way that you show up to the world. So I need you guys to understand that Nick Cannon and Cam Newton are a perfect example of clever cowards. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about clever cowards. People who act big and bad and brave in every single aspect of their life until intimacy enters the chat. Now they're stumbling all over themselves. And I'm going to say this, guys. I always say this. I know it's fun to make this man versus women, right? I never conflate systems of oppression with individual people. Patriarchy, which is the real thing, the real shared enemy that I'm about to attack. Patriarchy is the enemy, not men. Men who are slaves to patriarchy will definitely be used as examples, not all men. So please save yourself the mental gymnastics of acting as if this is purely gendered. I'm going to be attacking the system of patriarchy and all those who uphold it, including women, okay? And so, as the famous saying always goes, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you are a coward in your personal relationships and you want me to think that you are brave everywhere else, I'm telling you, you are a conditional coward. Right? What that means is you are a clever conditional coward. You know how to be a control freak when things are detached from you, right? You know how to be a control freak when things are an extension of you. But when shit hits you at the core, you suddenly become a scared little boy. And guess what? That scared little boy never went anywhere. Even when you were on the football field, even when you were on set, that scared little boy, wherever you go, he goes with you. Just because he was quiet doesn't mean he wasn't there. All right, so let's get into it, guys. I just wanted to give that disclaimer about the lens from which I'm approaching this with. And again, I know that a lot of times when I do these lives, I bruise egos, and I love that. It's on purpose. It's intentional, right? Because a bruised ego might inspire a long overdue ego death. And a long overdue ego death clears the path for you to become who you probably wanted to be all along. All right, so let's get into it. Number one, Dr. Cheyenne, I think that's her name, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. She did an episode with Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, and one of the things that was really sad to me was how much you could tell, because smugness is something that's written all over your face. You could tell by looking at these men when they talked to this beautiful, smart woman that they thought that because they were rich and attractive and successful, and because she was single and attractive, that she was automatically going to want to pander to them. There was an assumption that their money would buy them a certain level of favor and would also keep them from being held accountable. I always piss off the men that I'm dating who are not rich when I say this. Money cannot buy you happiness. And the first thing that y'all say when I say, Blue, fuck it can't. 95% of my problems can be solved by having money. Pause. Did you hear what you just said? You said 95% of your problems can be solved by having money. The word happy never appeared in that sentence. Money cannot buy you happiness. What money will do, right? What money will do is take away your problems, free you from your problems so that you now have the time to figure out what makes you happy. Money buys you freedom. Freedom buys you clarity. Clarity brings you happiness. Y'all love to skip those steps in fucking between. If you've ever talked to anybody who won the lottery and who in the blink of an eye was making more money in a month that they thought they would make their entire lifetimes, they're still depressed. Their marriage is still bullshit. They actually have more problems now. Because now, the problems that were pre-existing, that were tied to money, might have been solved. But new problems that come with money have been added. And all the non-money related problems never went anywhere. Money doesn't buy you happiness. It buys you freedom. Freedom gives you an opportunity to be clear, and clarity and effort is what brings you happiness. I've said this a million times, right? Money, fame, success, weight loss, a marriage, whatever facsimile of favor that you think is going to be the answer to your joy will only make you more of what you already are. So a depressed man with daddy issues who becomes rich is just a rich nigga with daddy issues. Raise your hand if you've ever lived in New York, LA, Atlanta, or Miami and can testify that there's hundreds of them all over the place. Raise your hand. If money bought you happiness, then why you still got them father wounds? And by the way, I call them father wounds because for some reason, y'all think daddy issues are gendered. Y'all keep gendering things that are gender neutral, right? When it comes to, and this is the thing about gendering things that are gender neutral, there are some traumas and trauma responses that are tethered to gender norms. Most of them are not. And so when y'all gender neutral trauma, you then give people permission to judge it when it is attached to women, but not judge it when it is attached to men, right? Because if a stripper has daddy issues, we immediately know what that means. Oh, she a hot box. She running around fucking on everybody because she got daddy issues. The minute we say daddy issues, you all understand. But if I tell you a man is acting like community dick because he has father wounds, now everybody's confused. Why is that? In the same way that we always say that bullshit line that I do not believe, I'm calling Big Cap again. We always say men are purely logical and women are purely emotional. And yet every man I've ever dated in my entire life has been more emotional than me. I have never in my entire life met a man who was less emotional than me that I have held proximity to. I'm less emotional than most men I know. And here's the thing. All my female friends objectively agree. They're like, Blue, you're not very emotional. Even though for those who believe in astrology, there's no water in my chart. Water represents emotional. I'm passionate as fuck. I'm not very emotional, right? Most men I know are more emotional than me. And I'm an emotional intelligence coach, which means not only do I not judge emotions, I've dedicated my entire life to studying them, right? However, when I tell a man he's more emotional than me, and that's why I don't believe that men are purely logical and women are purely emotional, he gets offended. Pause. Why are you offended that I'm calling you emotional when you so casually said that all women are emotional? Is that you subconsciously admitting that you judge emotion? And so when you tell women that they're emotional, it is a judgment? If I can't call you what you called me without you being offended, then what were you really calling me? The reason why so many men don't want to admit how emotional they are is because they judge the perception of emotionality in women. And to admit that emotion is gender neutral would be to admit the thing that they've been judging as weak lives within them. Let's get into it. I see some people raising their hands. For anybody who's raising your hand, do you have a question before I go on? Because we got to get off exactly at 7 o'clock Pacific. Somebody wrote, clarity and effort equals happiness. Absolutely. Dang, I just walked into a straight bar. I don't know what you walked into, but I'm happy it resonated. All right, for those who have their hands raised, if you have a question, write it down now because we're about to go really fast, okay? All right, so now that we've debunked the whole men are not emotional bullshit, Big Cap, because all I saw in the Nick Cannon and Cam Newton interview was scared little boys with a lot of fucking money, which didn't buy them happiness or clarity because they were too busy being willfully ignorant. I work with men who gender emotions that affect me. Exactly. Let's not even get into that. All right. Now, I wrote notes because the funny thing about this conversation is I'm working on my book. You guys know that forever everybody and their mother's been saying, Blue, when is this fucking book coming out? Because I'm 20 years into my career, still no book. Shout out to ADHD. Because like most people with ADHD, I have whole chapters of prose that are written in my notepads, on napkins, on pieces of paper. And funny enough, I found while going through my dossier, my files, a chapter in the works that actually speaks directly to the interview that we saw with Dr. Bryant and Cam Newton and Nick Cannon. Now, this is what I wrote on Twitter this morning when I decided I was going to do this topic. A lot of men think think to themselves, I'm messing up because I'm broke. And the truth is, nah, you're messing up because you're broken. They are not one and the same. Now, I wrote a whole chapter about high value, low functioning men. So when I saw the clip of Dr. Joy talking about, is her name Dr. Joy? I think I just made up that name. Dr. Bryant, my bad. When I saw the clip of Dr. Bryant talking about low functioning, I hollered. Because there's an actual chapter in my book that I'm working on. So please don't steal this shit because this video is proof that I came up with it. About high value, low functioning men. And the reason why I wrote this chapter is a lot of men that I meet who are not of high means, because I don't date for money. And the reason I don't date for money is not because I don't like money. I'm a fucking tourist. And have you seen my stories? A bitch lives in the VIP section. So me not dating for money ain't got shit to do with me not liking money. Okay? I like nice things. The reason I don't date for money is because I realize a lot of times women are forced to choose between high value and high functioning. And I, as a high functioning woman, rather date a high functioning man who is not high value yet, and support him in getting there than to work with a high value man who now, because he has a lot of money, has no incentive to get healed. High value, low functioning men have very little incentive to heal because in their mind, I'm fucking rich. Who cares if I'm an emotionally and psychologically unsafe piece of shit? I'll just buy myself into my next relationship. High value, low functioning men very rarely take it upon themselves to heal or grow up. And now you're stuck with a man child with 8 children and 3 baby mamas who expects you to cup his meat. That's a hollow victory, beloved. On my worst fucking day, I would not want to be with somebody who moves like that. Whereas if you find a high functioning man who is dating a high functioning other person, right? Man or woman, because, shout out to the LGBTQI community. What's up? How you doing? A high functioning man has every incentive to be a high value man, but a high value man has very little incentive to be a high functioning man. And because I'm a bitch who likes results, I'd rather get you on the way up than try to drag you back to life and back to the ground on your way down. So I had to write a chapter about why I personally am moved by high value, low functioning men, because many of the working class creatives, which is what I call anybody who's following their dream and can pay their bills, but who cannot pop bottles 24/7 without worrying about paying for the extra guac, right? I'm a working class creative. I make enough money to pop my shit, go out once a week, get on a red eye to go visit my family, get my little hair did, but I'm not Oprah, right? And whenever I would meet a man who would see the caliber of men that I was around, the caliber of men that I had slept with previously, because I'm very transparent about my sex life with my partners, whenever they would see the rooms I was in, the first thing that every man who was not rich that I dated would say to me is, why the fuck are you with me? Because you are making me feel like you might be high functioning. And so that's what this chapter is about. Y'all ready for story time? Let's get into it. A high value, low functioning man is successful and may even be rich and have public favor, but has not put in the work necessary to be mentally healed and emotionally intelligent. Did y'all hear that? A high value, low functioning man is successful and may even be rich and have public favor, but has not put in the work necessary to be mentally healed and emotionally intelligent, which means he can pay bills, but he hasn't fully become actualized. Being fully self-actualized is not just about paying bills, guys. Those are the basics. Here's the thing. High value, low functioning men become successful because they often spend their lives chasing new obsessions because subconsciously they know that money didn't make them feel as whole as they expected. A lot of high value, low functioning men who have been friends of mine have confessed, I got all this money. I have all the things that I said that I want to get into. Why do I still feel depressed, Blue? A lot of my clients, right? Shout out to particularly, I have a lot of Nigerian female clients who drag their boyfriends to come to me, right? When people talk about go see the lady, me and Bridget were just joking about this. When people talk about you gotta go see the lady, apparently I've become the lady. And so I have been talking to a lot of rich Nigerian men recently who are only speaking to me because their girlfriends are forcing them. I don't know if you ever met Nigerian men. They are very prideful. The only thing more prideful than a Nigerian man is a rich Nigerian man with a baddie wife or girlfriend who is forcing him to talk to the lady, okay? So when I get on these phone calls and I finally get them to trust me enough to open up, they always confess the same thing. Blue, I'm so grateful. To God be the glory, because they're all very Christian. To God be the glory. I'm so grateful. I got this beautiful woman next to me. I'm making all this money. Album coming out next month, X, Y, and Z. They always got to flex. And then eventually they say, I'm still not happy though. And I don't react because they're waiting for me to be like, either be toxically positive. How dare you? No, you're such a king. You should be so happy. Or they're waiting for me to be like, I knew it. You know what I mean? All you niggas lie. They're waiting for me to either be the bitter, I told you so girl, or the toxically positive one who's saying that they should be a lot more grateful than they are. Instead, I just listen. The reason why I don't gender mental health is because I don't treat men like men. I treat men like people. And when any person tells me they're not happy, I listen. By the time they trust me, they always confess that it's always tied to the little boy inside who never felt good enough, didn't feel seen, didn't feel accepted, didn't feel loved, didn't feel safe. And he was convinced that money would make it happen. He was convinced that having a girl with a fat ass and a pretty face as his arm candy would make it happen. He was convinced that finding a nice girl who doesn't wear too much makeup and acts like his mother or the mother he wished he had would make him happy. he will go down the list of everything that he thought would make him happy. And everybody is on that list but him. Everybody and everything is on that list but him. And you know why he's not on that list? Because patriarchy doesn't just hurt women, it hurts men. Patriarchy told him that the feelings that he would have to feel to be on that list don't belong to him. Because men are logical and women are emotional. That's why I hate that fucking phrase so much. It harms men when we pretend they don't have emotions. And here's the thing, guys. Things grow in the dark. Emotions are like mold. The more you hold them back, the fatter and uglier and madder they get at you, right? So, these men are chasing facsimiles of power and joy because they've been told to completely compartmentalize themselves and not be attached to the wound inside of them. And now that ever-present void inside of them needs to be filled with new women, new families, new cars, new business deals, and new vices. Yes, I said new families. If you are Caribbean, or if you're Caribbean, I'm not even gonna lie. We all know about second, third families, okay? Shout out to my people. And while all the shiny stuff may look great to the average person and serve as a shallow distraction, these men often find themselves wondering, why am I still not as happy as I expected? And eventually they convince themselves that everyone must be as secretly scared of intimacy as they are. Every high-value, low-functioning man I know, including Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, when they realize that being rich, famous, sexy, and fuckable still has not taken away the void inside of them. Rather than saying, what's missing here, they convince themselves, if I'm lying from the top of the mountain, you all must be lying too. They're convinced that we're all lying. They have to convince themselves that the thing they want doesn't exist. We're all lying, right? Now here's where shit gets fucked up for them. The most earth-shattering thing that can happen to a high-value, low-functioning man is to meet a high-functioning woman that he is actually attracted to. Because he told himself that high-functioning women are only mammies and play cousins and his mother. But to see an attractive woman who is sexy and juicy and also high-functioning, that fucks with him. Because her mere existence and her refusal to let him get away with the low-functioning behaviors that most women let him get away with confirms the one thing that he has always feared his entire life, which is that being healed is not only actually possible, it's also the one thing that his money couldn't buy him. The reason why high-value, low-functioning men are scared of high-functioning women is our existence is proof that the thing you said didn't exist actually exists. Sad niggas with money are convinced that everybody else is sad too. How dare you actually be joyous in their presence? So, when you meet somebody, and I'm only using Nick Cannon and Cam Newton as an example, and I've been in the room with both of them. They're both actually friends with Jason Lee, right? I met Nick Cannon's sister, beautiful soul. Great people. As people, I'm talking about partnership and emotional intimacy and psychological safety. Just because someone's a good friend, a good football player, a good producer, everybody in Hollywood has a story about how Nick Cannon saved their life, right? Nick Cannon is not a bad man. He's still a low-functioning one, though. Don't conflate the two. You can still be a good man when it comes to everything else and be low-functioning as hell when it comes to emotional intimacy, which means that anybody who wants to invest in you long-term on an emotional level, no matter how rich you are, how famous you are, how strong your back is because you're doing a fitness challenge, you are a fucking liability. High-value, low-functioning men are liabilities. So here's the thing. What is the other side of the coin of a high-value, low-functioning man? A low-value, low-functioning man. All high-value, low-functioning men start off as broke niggas with a dream. So here you are broke with father wounds, daddy issues, somebody broke your little heart, and you didn't have the skills to bounce back from it. And rather than be brave and say, damn, I'm going to learn from my mistakes, you decided to internalize cowardice. You became a clever coward. You said to yourself, because I'm scared of love, I'm scared of intimacy, I'm scared of confronting all these wounds inside of me, I'm going to work on my dreams. I'm going to be a great basketball player, a great stylist, a great TV host, a great athlete. I'm going to be great in all these other places to distract everybody from how much I'm still hurting inside. And then you meet someone, male or female, because again, this is gender neutral and open to the queer community. You meet someone who is your equal. And they look at you and they say, bullshit. The thing I love about romantic love, and why I always say, please do not think that any other form of love can be conflated with romantic love. Black women are constantly told, well, you don't need a man, you got your kids. The fuck? I'm not marrying my kids. Fuck y'all. No. Your children are not your partner. Your friends are not your partner. Last time I checked, the wedding cake has a spot for the two people who are getting married. There's not a spot for your homegirls. There's not a spot for your boys from day brunch, right? You're not building a life with your friends like that. I hate when you tell people who want romantic love that they have to conflate familial love and community love with romantic love. Are you going to suck his dick? Are you going to have his kids? Then what are you talking about? Y'all sound crazy. Y'all keep shaming people and acting stupid as if you don't understand that romantic love cannot be replaced with any other kind of love. So let's take that off the table right the fuck now. I didn't spend my last hour before going to the airport to lie to y'all, okay? I could have been taking a goddamn nap. So if I'm not going to sleep, and I'm a Taurus, I take my sleep very personally, okay? If I'm giving up my nap time, we're going to tell the truth on Mondays, all right? So now back to the notes, sorry. Most high-functioning women, and when I say women, please infer the word femmes as well, because again, I've always told you, a lot of my queer male viewers have told me that a lot of the things that women go through, anybody who dates men has to deal with the patriarchy is going through the same shit. I'm not even gonna hold you. Gay or straight, bisexual, or God knows what else. Anybody who has to date someone who subscribes to patriarchy, we all in this together, okay? High-functioning women aren't single because they don't have options. They're single because society incentivizes men to prioritize money over mental health and then wonders why mentally healthy women and gay men don't feel safe around them. Y'all tell these men, chase your paper, young man, chase your paper. Worry about love and emotional growth and healing later. And now you're full of emotionally stunted rich men and you're wondering why we don't want them. They're not safe. And guess what? Their broke brethren aren't safe either because their broke brethren, broke niggas, are just low functioning, high value men in the making, right? Broke men are always convinced I can't get into a relationship until I get me some money. I can't get into a relationship or even have any kind of emotional investment until I'm rich. And once I'm rich, then I can stop being community dick. Guys, let's say I for 1 second believe the bullshit premise that men are not emotional and they're purely logical. Let's use logic for a second. Logically, if you make, how much do most men who want to be rich want to make? 300, 350, 400, 5,000? No, $1 million. These days, everybody thinks $1 million is chump change. All these men are waiting to be millionaires. Do you know that being a millionaire is the 1%? Being a millionaire in this global economy is the 1%. You guys, what's 100 minus 1? I'll wait for somebody to answer. I'm not joking. Since men are so logical, right? What is 100 minus 1? Anybody want to answer? I'm not joking. You guys, what is 100 minus 1? Somebody just posted it. 99. 100 minus 1 is 99. All you logical broke men are telling me that you think it's logical to not work on your personal growth, to not work on your wounds, to not take my emotional intelligence course, which costs less than a plane ticket to Tulum or South Beach or some other basic bitch place that y'all go for escapism. You're telling me that for less than an American Airlines flight to go to Wet Willie's and get drunk, you are not willing to invest in your growth because you're convinced that the 99 percentile is not going to include you. Because that's logical. And I'm the emotional one. You don't think it'd be a lot more logical to say, hey, even if my dreams come true, wherever I go, there I am. And so if I'm sad and hate myself, broke, I'm probably going to be sad and hate myself rich if I even get to rich. And so maybe I should work on that now. A man who is rich in the way that it counts knows that integrity comes first, not last. And unfortunately, people who have compartmentalized their experience as human beings, which is already big cap, because there's no such thing as compartmentalizing. The way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Those men are scared, and now they're high profile. And now they have women who are pick-me's, concubines, fake feminists who will talk big shit on TikTok and Instagram about women's empowerment, but still act like basic bitches behind closed doors. I'm talking to y'all too, ladies. About 75% of the young ladies who are on TikTok and Instagram and X and everything else talking about niggas ain't shit are low-key acting like pick-me's behind the scenes. They're just branding independence. They're not actually independent. You know how I know? Because they're uncomfortable when they see me. A facsimile will always be uncomfortable in the presence of the real thing. If that really was you, then we should be kindred. Why are you scared? Right? Everybody lying. You're all lying. And I think the beautiful thing about Cam Newton and Nick Cannon being in a space with a woman who was high functioning enough to just tell the truth is that she was able to finally tell them the truth. Because when you're a liar, when you're a low functioning, high value liar who can afford to incentivize silence, you only attract attractive, low functioning women. Again, guys, function and value are not the same. None of these people are more or less valuable than me. Being low functioning does not mean that you are not worthy of love. It means you are in desperate need of a wake up call. Big difference, right? You're not in value. You're not somebody who lacks value. You lack the ability to move like you believe in your value. I don't believe you. You're lying. Somebody said we should be kindred. Why are you scared? So, I love it when y'all quote me because I'm like, that was combative. Who just said that? I did. Right? So I need you guys to understand that what I love about that interview is it revealed how much these high value men that y'all keep clapping for are lying. Now, my little sister, when she was here 2 weeks ago, she was in my bedroom watching this live while I was doing the live. And she said, Blue, when you're doing these lives, you're so busy talking and interacting that you don't see who's filtering in the room. During that live, about 638 people came in that live. She told me of those 638, a huge majority were men and other coaches, right? And so I need you guys, and I was shocked. She was like, I don't think you realize how many men, how many other mental health professionals, and how many white people come into your pro-black feminist room. First of all, I'm not a feminist, I'm a womanist. We'll get into that another time because feminism has been co-opted by white supremacy. But speaking of feminism though, you know that term Karen? What's a Karen, guys? Can anybody in here, since we're doing class, can anybody in here tell me what a Karen is, right? Does anybody want to give their stab at what they think a Karen is? Because what I think a Karen is a white woman who is an aggressor, who creates harmful environments that are psychologically unsafe for others. And yet as soon as she is held accountable, she plays victim. One more time for the folks in the back. Some of y'all who know me see where this is going. A Karen is a white woman who is an aggressor, who creates psychologically and sometimes physically unsafe environments for other people who are more oppressed than her. And as soon as she is called out on her poor behavior and how harmful it can be, rather than take accountability, she plays victim. Who else did I just fucking describe? Not all Karens are white women. Cam Newton is a Karen. Nick Cannon is moving like a Karen. Black men have learned to be Karens. That's why I'm concerned. We only spot Karens when they're white women with asymmetrical bobs and sons named Jaden. What happens when the most problematic Karen you know is a nigga who knows how to throw a ball or talk shit on a mic? You niggas have turned into Karens. That's how much patriarchy has handicapped you. Patriarchy hurts men, guys. It's not just a feminist issue. And that's the beauty of what happened on those two podcasts. Two men who were around someone who simply told the truth, got their wig snatched, and were revealed to be Karens. And so if there's a man who's watching now who does not think the safety of women is enough to fight the system of patriarchy, maybe you not act like a bitch. right? Because I don't like to use that term, but like there's men who say, oh, having feelings means you're acting like a bitch, right? What do y'all call it? Simps? I'm living in your reality right now. I don't use any of this language. I don't think men who are emotional are simps or bitches, but y'all do. But a lot of them simps and bitches are not slaves to patriarchy. They're not Karens. When they create harm and are confronted with simple truth, they are not so disabled by their cognitive dissonance that they can't even understand simple sentences. We just watched a bunch of high-value, low-functioning men who could not understand the simplest of sentences. Patriarchy, toxic masculinity is a disability, guys. Toxic masculinity has become a disability. Anytime you a grown-ass man who can't understand a simple sentence in plain English, yeah, you've neurologically been compromised. And I'm speaking as somebody who's actually neurodivergent. You've been compromised. Your brain, 2 + 2 is 17. Something's not clicking. The math is not only mathing. I'm not even sure that's a calculator. I think you're holding a potato peeler. Like, what's good, bruh? You're not making sense. And what's really, really sad is, and this is the part that speaks to my heart, as a high-functioning woman, a woman who is in full possession of her cognitive skills, who is so busy doing shadow work and calling bullshit on myself, by the time you call bullshit on me, it sounds familiar. Like, yeah, that's true. I be doing that. I'm working on it. Right? As someone who's a high-functioning, and to use more psychologically sound terms, securely attached, right? Being a securely attached woman in 2024 is probably the biggest flex of my life. As a securely attached woman, when I'm talking to a low-functioning man, whether he's broke or rich, because to me, honestly, it's all the same labor. In fact, sometimes the rich ones are more labor than the broke ones, right? When I'm a high-functioning woman, a securely attached high-functioning woman talking to a low-functioning man of any financial class, guess what's the one thing that I know I have to do because I'm dealing with somebody who has a disability? I have to spoon feed them the most basic shit. What did y'all see that doctor doing on that show in those clips? How many of you watched that she had to give 7 fucking compliments at a time just to say one sentence of simple truth? That is how compromised these men have become, living in an echo chamber. They are so resistant and allergic to basic fucking accountability that you literally have to spoon feed them, grab them by the lips, shove the truth down their throats, and help them chew it and swallow it. And even then, they might still spit it up in your face. And that is strong. That's what y'all want? That's what y'all aspire to? You see a man who can't chew his own food and y'all find that sexy and admirable? You're not going to be good to that girl who wants to invest in you while you're still working on your money because your goal is to be Cam Newton? I'm embarrassed for all of you. All the men were in the comments praising her delivery. And here's the thing, guys. I deliver my truths to all the men in my life like that. And I will tell you this. It doesn't matter how we deliver it, guys. If you are not committed to doing the work, you will go right the fuck back. She delivered it beautifully. I deliver it beautifully. 90% of the men that I've dated who I've delivered it beautifully to were still cowards who didn't do the work and ran off with a woman who was low functioning who wouldn't call them out on their bullshit. The delivery is just noise. And the gag is, do you know what works better than that delivery? Leaving. If you do not keep me psychologically safe, I will leave you. And I'm high functioning, which means I have options. I just chose you because I like you a lot. The best thing you can do for a low functioning man is leave his ass and let him figure out if he's ready to grow up, and let him know that he's only able to come back to you when he has a game plan. I shared a story on my Twitter and then later shared it on my Instagram about how it was more than one person. I actually combined 2 stories. One was with a man and one was with a lesbian. So y'all know that, mother has lived. Which is why I know this shit is all gender neutral. Whether you're dating a butch lesbian or a straight man or a bisexual, child, it's all the same. Masculinity, when it is toxic and tethered to patriarchy, is always a disability. Okay? It's all the same. It doesn't matter if it's a vagina or a strap-on. It's all the same. Okay? Shout out to the gay community. So, I actually took 2 stories and conflated them. One was with a stud woman. One was a man. Both fine. Both community dick. Both played in my face. And in both instances, I don't know what it is about a decade. In both instances, they played in my face and fucked around and got left, right? Because I always say this, and this, I think even the doctor said this on the show. A high-functioning woman. Do you know how you know if you're a high-functioning woman? And this is a cheat code for the ladies that might hurt some feelings. You are a high-functioning woman, not based on what you attract. Y'all keep using the law of attraction incorrectly. Because in addition to the law of attraction, there's also the law of polarity. Opposites attract too. Sometimes you don't attract what you are. You attract what you are reflecting back a deficit of, right? So the law of attraction, y'all need to stop using these laws incorrectly. So this is not about you attracting who you are. It's not about what you attract. Because here's the thing, right? There are more low-functioning men than high-functioning men because society incentivizes high-value, low-functioning men. You cannot judge a woman on if she is low-functioning or high-functioning based on the kind of men she attracts, because probability is she's going to attract a bunch of fuck dudes. That's just the majority. It's called the law of averages. Look it up. It's the law of fucking averages. The way you can judge if you are in the presence of a high-functioning woman or if you are a high-functioning woman is by what she's willing to entertain. When you offer a high-functioning woman a steaming pile of poo, hot steaming horse shit on a silver platter, her immediate reaction is, ooh, what the fuck? What are you doing? What is that? Who are you talking to? She is stunned and appalled because this is foreign to her. What is this? Nah, bro, you got me fucked up. Is there a basic bitch behind me that this is for? Because it can't be for me. What is you doing? The joke that I always tell in class, for those who want to take the class, this is a precursor to the All Night Shift online self-mastery class that kicks off September 11th next month. The joke that I always tell in class is, what if I tell you there's a perfect man out there for you who only, smokes a little bit of crack on Thursdays, right? A high-functioning woman's going to be like, child, if he smoke crack, that ain't got nothing to do with me. A low-functioning woman will say, well, how much crack, though? And is it every Thursday that he smokes it or every other Thursday? A low-functioning woman will entertain it. A high-functioning woman will be like, nah, that's bullshit. I'm not doing that. Huh? That's weird. I'm not doing that. Her body immediately rejects it because her lived experience tells you something else. If you were to tell me right now, perfect example of how to tell if you are a low-functioning woman or a high-functioning woman. If you were to tell me right now that you had been a vegan for 20 years and that you only ate fucking juices and berries and nuts and seeds and shit for 20 years. And I, being Cuban and Haitian, where pork is our national bird, handed you a piece of full fat bacon and you ate that shit and swallowed it whole without throwing it back up and asked me for some more. Do you think I would believe that you were a vegan? Or would I think that you on some bullshit and you be eating swine this entire time? Right? Because it's impossible to be a vegan for 20 years, eating nuts and berries and seeds, and eat full fat bacon the way Caribbeans eat it without throwing it up. Even if I didn't tell you, right? If you had a fatty piece of pork in your mouth right now as a vegan, even if you had on a blindfold, you would spit that shit out. Why? It is a foreign entity. Your body would instinctively, your mind would subconsciously, everything about you would repel it. So, for all you women out there who think you are high functioning, but keep swallowing the swine, I'm calling cap. You're also a clever coward. You didn't attract somebody that was testing you. You attracted a reflection. Right? The reason why I know I am a high-functioning woman isn't because I told myself that, because we lie to ourselves all the time. We lie to ourselves all the time. The reason why I know that I'm a high-functioning woman is because I repel low-functioning men. The fear in their eyes when I talk is confirmation. The way that they run for the hills and block me when they've tried to trick me into a situationship. I'm like, nigga, who the fuck are you talking to? Ain't a nigga in this world who is fine, tall, whose dick is big enough for me to ever entertain that. What are you doing? Do people actually take you up on this offer? Really? And they be saying yes? When men see how ridiculous their offers are in my presence, it is very clear that I spit out the swine. It's very clear that I am the vegan in the room, right? And mind you, there's never any thought put into it. My entire body rejects it. I have been a high functioning woman for so long that I can't even entertain it. The only men that I entertain are men who are high functioning or men who are presenting as high functioning. And because I don't have trust issues, when someone presents as something, I let it play out until I am shown otherwise. And guess what? When I am shown otherwise, I disengage. By the way, if you're scared to investigate, if you're scared to engage, you're also not high functioning. I was having a great conversation with Bridget the other day, and we were talking about trust and how it's really, really rare not to have trust issues at the age that I am, and how, you know, Bridget's in this amazing space in her life. I'm so proud of my friend, where her evolution in the last couple of years has been, that girl is such a good person. And when she was asking me about trust, she was like, well, what about people who trust themselves but don't trust anybody else? And I said, no, that means they don't trust themselves. She was like, what are you talking about? I said, if you trust yourself, you can afford to take a risk and trust in others because you trust yourself to bounce back if you get it wrong. If you avoid everything and every fucking body because you are scared that if you get it wrong, your whole world will fall apart, nigga, you don't trust yourself. You're another clever coward. The world is full of clever cowards pretending to be brave. And as an actual brave bitch, it is fascinating to watch y'all tap dance. It's Gregory Hines in this bitch. 1, 2, boom, cack. It's a lot. Y'all doing a lot. And the whole truth is, if you really meant that shit, you wouldn't have to do all that, right? A clever coward will call themselves all sorts of things, while people who those monikers apply to are just staring at them like, what are you doing? That's not how any of this works. Someone who trusts themselves can afford to be open to trust others, because if I get it wrong, there's still somebody I trust in the room. Me. I'm just a brave bitch who got it wrong. All right, let's pivot. Y'all be lying. Cam Newton and Nick Cannon lied to themselves before they ever lied to that lady. And all of y'all sat there and judged them and got so mad at them, not recognizing that a lot of you are them. Same bullshit, different package. Same bullshit, different box. Same bullshit, different tax bracket. Same bullshit. So before I go, I want to make sure I repeat for the people in the back who came late, who are going to watch this on the replay. And guys, please understand that this only stays on my page for a little bit. But I always eventually end up moving them to my YouTube. So if you're wondering why my previous videos have disappeared, they're on my YouTube. Let's go over it. Money does not buy you happiness. Money buys you the freedom to figure out what makes you happy. That freedom allows you to have the clarity to put in the effort towards finding happiness. But money alone will not buy you happiness. If it was, LA would be a much more psychologically sound place to live. So would New York and Miami and Houston. Right? If money brought you happiness, we would not have TMZ. If money brought you happiness, we would not have Hollywood Unlocked or Shade Room. And I'm friends with everybody who works there. Right? If money brought you happiness, we would not have social fucking media. Like, what are y'all really saying right now? Money buys you freedom to figure out what buys you happiness. Money buys you freedom to take on-the-shelf self-mastery courses, to get a therapist, to stop worrying about deadlines so you have time to actually sit with your thoughts and figure out how you feel. It buys you freedom. It does not buy you happiness. And not all free people are happy. The world is full of depressed people who are free. The freedom is also an opportunity. Freedom without effort also won't buy you happiness. You have to put in the work. And the story that I shared on Twitter, both of those people who I conflated into one story because, you know, I had a limited character count, they both waited a decade and they came back still full of shit. It's been 10 calendar years and you were still full of shit. Yeah. Age does not make you wise. Age just makes you old. The world is full of old dummies. You actually have to put in effort as you are aging to become wise. That's why when you meet someone who is wise for their age, people say, you're so wise for your age. What they mean is you put the effort in sooner than we expected. Wise for your age means you put in effort quicker than we expected for your age bracket. The effort is implied. Okay? Let me see if I'm missing any notes because I really got to run. Oh, right. We talk about men talking about they don't have the bandwidth. Yeah, let's talk about bandwidth for a second. So you have the bandwidth to chase capitalism, but not to work on your own personal growth and psychological well-being of everybody who cares about you and invests in you. Which do you think is easier? Overcoming capitalism or sitting with yourself and telling the fucking truth and taking accountability for your actions? I've seen men spend 75 calendar days talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake and break down Kendrick lyrics and iambic pentameter, okay? Break down fucking syllables in a Kendrick lyric. Break down cadence, show nuance, be deeply, deeply, deeply invested in a rap beef. But when I say, hey, that thing you don't like when I do it, I don't like it when you do it to me either. Nah, I don't get it. What you mean I'm a hypocrite? I'm confused. That's what confuses you. This is why I'm single. Because y'all just be... the older I get, the harder it is for me to lie and pretend like you niggas make sense. Because I just be looking at folks. I have this rule with my friends that I'm not introducing them to anybody I date unless I've been on 3 great dates. I keep on doing 2 and impossible. That 3rd date be kicking y'all's asses. I don't know what it is about men who cannot keep lying for the 3rd date. Right? Every man I've ever dated this year, by the 3rd date, I'm like, oh, he a little full of shit. Do I need to get laid that bad? Should I play along? So I have a 3rd date rule. And I don't think y'all realize you're not even a clever coward. You're low-key sloppy. But a lot of women play stupid because they're desperate. So when you meet a woman who's not desperate and we have no incentive to play stupid, then it gets awkward. Somebody said 2 and impossible. Yeah, I've had a lot of great 1st and 2nd dates, but that 3rd date, child. Money and age won't heal you alone. I'm looking over my notes before I leave y'all. I don't want y'all to have abandonment issues because it's bad enough half of y'all got father wounds, aka daddy issues for men. You know how black girl sunscreen now has black girl sunscreen for men? Because now they've gendered fucking UV blocking. Y'all are so funny. A father wound is just daddy issues repackaged for a man who's fragile. So, oh, right. High value functioning men are hypocrites. Yes. Before I go, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the hypocrisy of high value, low functioning men. Actually, let's take away high value because that's just a tongue in cheek. In my opinion, if you're low functioning, you ain't got no value for me. I can buy my own hot pocket. Like I don't even need you for a meal. I'm not broke enough for that either. So low functioning men, whether they're high value or not, to me, it's all the same. Low functioning men are the world's biggest hypocrites. You know why? They are fragile as hell. You need to spoon feed them the truth, as we covered earlier. You have to pretend that they're not transparent. Because here's the thing about all low functioning men. They're all convinced that they're sexy and mysterious. Ooh, this is about to fuck her up. I'm about to drop this line and she's gonna drop her panties. There always comes a point when I'm dating a low functioning man when he pisses me off bad enough for me to tell him the truth that, nigga, you are not mysterious. I was just being nice. You could have just told me the truth. I probably still would have fucked you. Like, you didn't have to do all this. So, low functioning men, it's basically like when your child is a horrible artist and draws a picture of you in crayon that looks like a horse giving itself fellatio. And you have to lie and say, oh, honey, it's so nice. You made mommy look so pretty. Because you recognize they're fragile and you love them. And what's the harm? Low functioning men are fragile. If you're a low functioning man, I promise you, any smart woman who loves you is lying to you. Because we have to. We have to. Somebody said, girl, I told somebody the truth last night. Yeah, it's always weird when you gotta tell a low functioning man the truth. Because now his little feelings are hurt. So, low functioning men are incredibly, incredibly fragile, incredibly sensitive. Daffodils, all of them. Very demure, very mindful. They're very demure and you have to be very mindful. Okay? So demure. If you want to know who's demure, it's low functioning men of all economic classes. And as demure and fragile as they are, the minute you get mad and passionate and stop being the mommy in the room, the minute you start talking to them like an equal and say, yeah, you got me fucked up. What are you talking about? Take that bass off your voice. The minute you keep it a stack, now they get upset and they say, oh, you're being unreasonable. You're so sensitive. I'm sensitive? I'm sensitive. Me. The bitch who's been cutting up your meat because you needed help chewing the truth? I'm sensitive. So I need you to know that if you are a low functioning man, you are a hypocrite. And women and men who are high functioning around you have all been lying to you because they love you and they think you need a win. Yeah, the jig is up. What do we always say? On Mondays we tell the truth. It's still Monday on the West Coast. I'm not sure what time it is on the East Coast. So, Cam Newton Great athlete, funny man, wears very bright colored suits. Because every time I see him, he's in a bright colored suit. He smells good and he's tall and he's attractive. He's also a daffodil. Nick Cannon, ditto. Also a daffodil. The thing about toxic masculinity and patriarchy, again, it hurts men and makes them punchlines of a joke that we're not telling. We didn't make this up. Women didn't create patriarchy. Y'all love to blame us because it's easier to punch down, but we didn't create patriarchy. It's hurting us and it's hurting you. It's hurting everybody. So I would love it if we all just held hands and fucking said fuck patriarchy instead of saying fuck each other. Women didn't create it and men are suffering at its hands. So why can't we all just be on the same page? Group hug? No? Group hug? Group hug? I feel like Nick and Cam, if they have me on their podcast, it might go very differently than with Dr. Bryant. I think that's her name. Dr. Bryant is about a couple years younger than me. Beautiful woman, gorgeous woman, a couple years younger than me. And she reminds me of how I spoke to men a couple of years ago. At this stage of my career, right? I'm now entering year 21. Oh my God. This month is my 21-year anniversary. Why did I not celebrate this? Oh shit, August is almost over. I should have thrown a party. This month makes my 21-year anniversary working in emotional intelligence, and like I think my 17th, I'm bad at math when it comes to this shit, of doing it as like a full-time coaching thing and working with the curriculum. And somebody who now has a career that can drink. A couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, up until 5 years ago, I was still doing the thing that she does in those podcasts. I was still spoon-feeding grown-ass men. I've evolved. I think she might too. I think she might evolve. I evolved because I recognize it doesn't matter how many times you give a man a compliment. A coward will always find a way to be a victim until you tell him to grow the fuck up. A coward will always find a way to play victim until you tell him to grow the fuck up. Telling somebody you're an amazing man, you're this, that, and the other, and by the way, you're creating broken homes, that's great for a soundbite. It's great for a clip. It's great for going viral. I do not think Cam Newton or Nick Cannon are going to be changing based on that conversation alone. People who have gotten this far by being this full of shit, by compartmentalizing things that cannot be compartmentalized, have to be inconvenienced by a bolder packaging of the truth in order to change. And they have to change for themselves. So when you are someone who is unwilling to tap dance, when you are someone who's like, actually, I'm not going to spoon feed you shit. You're a grown ass man. Cut your own goddamn meat. I love you. I support you. I have your back and I won't judge you. And cut your own fucking meat. You're grown. Grow the fuck up. Love you, dog. When you stop spoon feeding people and require them to rise to meet you, to have access to you, that is the only time when true change happens, because them self-identifying that they're ready to grow the fuck up is the price of admission. How she approached it is how you get them to play along. Those men were playing along. Playing along is not the same thing as listening. At this stage of my life, I don't just want men to play along, because a man will use you as an emotional support dog and let you run your mouth with all your wisdom for hours and hours and still fuck a bitch who didn't ask nothing of him afterwards. I ain't got that kind of time. I ain't got it. I don't. I'm tired. Right? So when you tell someone, I'm not going to play that game with you and I'm going to always be respectful of you and me by not turning you into an infant, right? Because she infantized them. Those men were infants when they were talking to her. I don't talk about adult matters with children. Not even those with high credit scores and big penises, right? Those were adult children. You're going to have to grow the fuck up and put some bass in your voice to talk to me. That is the price of admission. And that's why all the men in my life, the ones who do get access to me, the ones who are in my classes, the ones I break bread with, the ones I sleep with, the ones I go on those third date with, they all know, yeah, she doesn't want to be my mother. She don't want to be my mom. She actually wants us to be partners. So I'm going to have to grow the fuck up for her to even take me serious. That's the next step. I want those kind of clips to go viral. One of y'all needs to invite me in a broadcast because that would be fun. All right, guys, it's 7 o'clock. It's 7:03, actually. I got to go. I adore y'all because part of emotional intelligence is not lying to yourself. And I promised myself I would not get be on here past 7:05, 5-minute grace period. We only got a minute and a half left. So I hope this was helpful. This was much quicker than it normally would be if I wasn't running to the airport. I'm going to take a quick second to read some comments. Somebody said, message, grow the fuck up. Yes. By the way, I know Mercury's in microbraid still. We're in the shadow period. For any of my exes who've been stalking my page, because it's come to my... A couple of people have tried to spin the block. I want to clarify one thing before I leave. Because for people who don't know my heart, it's easy to get this wrong. I am not unforgiving. I am probably one of the most forgiving people you will ever meet. But you can only forgive someone who's properly apologized when they're trying to have community with you. A proper apology, when you want me to forgive you, is full acknowledgement and improved behavior. If you apologize to me, but you won't acknowledge what you did, and you won't consistently improve your behavior, you're not sorry, so what am I forgiving? I'll wait. If a proper apology is acknowledgement and improved behavior, and you haven't acknowledged or improved behavior, there's no apology for me to accept. Right? On Mondays, we tell the truth. So, of all of you who have sent me hey big head texts, who've asked me how I'm doing, Blue, I'm so proud of you. You were always so beautiful. I'm happy the world gets to know who you are now. Nigga. For all of y'all who keep sending me those little messages to test the water, please recognize, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. How are you going to improve? And do you even know what you did? If you can't answer those questions, don't worry about me. Talk to God. Find him or her or them. Get you some answers and have a game plan, then come to me. Or don't. It's okay. I'm fine either way, right? And for anybody who's watching, who's entering cuffing season after a full summer full of Mercury retrogrades, please adopt the same thing. Do not let anybody circle the block if they won't tell you why they drove off to begin with and their new map and their new game plan for another destination. Because if you don't do that, you are destined to repeat history. And that's not cute. All right, 7:05, don't miss that flight. You're right, I gotta go. Love y'all. Bye, guys.